Hi, this is Coach Pomai. Welcome to ICE Mental Game Training Podcast number 17, a conversation on how to set season goals that really work for you.
If you had a skater that you were working with and they set a season goal to land triplets by regionals, but when regionals rolled around, they were still falling on it, they were still under-rotating it, they couldn't do it, and they got frustrated. And they were like, well, I set my season goals and they just didn't pan out, and I don't know what to do. If I set my season goals for next year and I say, well, I want to land triplets by regionals again, and it doesn't happen, what is one thing that you tell them to do for the next season?
First thing that I would ask them is to look back on last season, where they started with the triplets and where they ended up with the triplets, and see what progress they have made.
Okay, that makes sense. So, like, by maybe it will end up not being as bad as they thought it would be.
Exactly. When you set a goal, a lot of times the skater or the athlete will just focus on that one goal and ignore all of the process or all of the improvement that they've made up until that point. So reaching towards a goal is a process, it's a journey, and it's not and it is an incremental thing. So you make gradual progress towards your goal. It would very much surprise me if that skater had made no progress at all towards their triplets from the beginning of the season towards the end.
Yeah, okay. That's true. But it seems like you set a goal and you want to get you want to reach your goal. So you want to land your triplets by regionals. But when it doesn't happen, it almost feels like you failed your goal. I mean, how do you deal with that?
So I like to tell skaters that goals are something that we strive for. Goals are, we say that, you hear a lot about SMART goals being, you have to set a time, you have to be able to measure it, it has to be realistic. But the biggest thing about goals is that they're movable. They're not written in stone. Goals are something that you strive for. If you don't make it this season, then you just move that goal to maybe the middle of the next season. It's not, I didn't reach my goal at the end of this season, I failed.
Okay. The one thing that happens a lot of time to skaters, it seems, is that they'll have their goal and they'll have set their goal for the end of the season. When they're not on track to reach their goal, they start to get frustrated. Their goals are movable, but the skater still feels frustrated because they're not reaching their goals. What would you say to them to help them with that?
Okay, so that's a really good question, and that happens a lot. What I would say is that think about this I love to use this mountaintop analogy. When you're at the bottom of a really, really steep hill, or say a mountain, and you're going to climb up that mountain, it should take a half a day. When you look up at the top of that mountain, you might feel like there is no way I'm ever going to make it up there. So then you say, okay, well, this is a great trick of parents, is that, okay, well, we're going to go halfway up. Just go halfway up. So you have that halfway point. If you keep looking at that halfway point, it might be the same thing, but that's so far. So we break that down even more, and we go step by step. So the person on the mountain will be looking at the road in front of them. They'll take one step at a time. And if they keep focusing on what we call the process of walking up that mountain one step at a time, before they know it, they're going to reach the top. So it's really similar to the skater, where halfway through the season, if they keep looking at, well, I don't have my triplets, I haven't landed my triplets, instead of how much progress they've made towards landing it, then they're going to be frustrated. So I would say to that skater is, we've set that goal, now come back, and every single day at practice, you work at what you need to do for that day to get better at that jump.
Okay, that makes sense. So you say not to look at the top of the mountain. But that's like really hard. Is there a time that the skater can look at the top of the mountain, kind of like look at their goals, or is it just no, you don't ever look at your goal, your big goal, and you really have to only focus on the process?
One of the things that happens a lot is that goal becomes an expectation. And when that goal becomes an expectation, that's when the frustration starts. I like to have skaters, I like to say, well, you know what? You set that goal for the season. We've got 6 months as the midpoint. So let's wait until 6 months before you go and evaluate your progress towards that goal. A lot of times the skater gets to 6 months, and if they're doing it right, if they're focusing on the process every day, they're actually making improvements because they're not blocking themselves from reaching that goal because they're not frustrated. They're able to do their work every day. By the time they get to 6 months, they're not even thinking about how much closer am I. So they don't even need to look at that until the end of the season. As long as they know that they're on track and making improvement in that jump, that's all they need.
That's a lot of great information. One last thing. If you were to give someone a exercise for them to like prepare for the next season, what would you tell them to do? One thing that they could do.
Before creating any goals for next season, take a look at what happened the last season. Reflect on what worked really well for you and plan for more of that. And what didn't work for you, and make a plan to avoid those things. Thanks for listening. Please do me a favor and share this if you find it helpful. If you want to learn more, you can find us at icementalgame.com or like our page on Facebook at icementalgame. Until next time, this is Coach Pomai Nikaika saying aloha and happy skating.